Hello guys, this is Mike Zaloznyy from Las Vegas Desert Rat chess team. We play in United States Chess League. This is our inaugural season and everybody is very excited in our city to have this team. Unfortunately, not everybody had the opportunity and time to show up to Las Vegas Chess Center and watch the games, so we would like to bring you the highlights of most interesting moments of the first round where we faced Arizona Scorpions. And this game that we're going to go over here is played between Joel Banawa and Alberto Hernandez. It was played on board 2. And we have here international master from Ukraine, Andrey Ostrovskiy, ready to give us his opinion on what happened in this game.
Hi everybody watching this video and supporting Desert Rats.
Okay, so in this game, we started with c4, c5, English opening. And this is the first interesting moment in the game.
Yeah, knight goes to h6, looks like an odd route, however it's quite logical because knight goes to f5 to control d4 square, which is quite important because white wants to play d4 himself, so black just wants to prevent it. That's great.
3 e6, d3, and here black played h6.
h6 just to prevent bishop g5 because at some point it could be not very pleasant to meet this move because after bishop g5 queen has no a pleasant square to play, and maybe this forces black to play f6, which is also limits the activity of the bishop g7, so I think h6 has a good background, a good idea behind.
So here's the first move that's very important for any of you that like playing English opening. Bishop d2, the idea is to protect the knight on c3 and to play rook b1 and free up the b pawn to be pushed to play b4, b5, to expand the queen side, to gain some space and try to break through on that side of the board. So here black could have played d5.
Yeah, I guess d5 was the best opportunity because okay, white plays in a quite logical way, protecting the knight and preparing b4. However, the problem is that white ignores the center, and I think that at this point d5 was just the best try to occupy the center, to grab some space, and to achieve a comfortable position. Because, for example, if somebody afraid of making such a move in a so early stage of the game, for example, afraid meeting kind of e4 move. So here I have to say that e4 doesn't work because we just take on e4 and occupy d4 square, and black achieves a perfect position. So I think d5 was worth doing.
Okay, and here white played rook b1 as planned and black played a5. And you really did not like this move. Can you tell us why?
I think that e5 just weakens the queen side a lot, especially b5 square, which could be, by the way, exploited later in the game. So it is a very responsible move, and I think that it is quite dubious from this point of view, because it stops b4 just right now. However, it doesn't stop b4 forever, so sooner or later white will open up the b file and the weakness of the b5 square will be quite critical. So instead of doing this a5, I guess again black should have played d5 just to grab the space in the center. After c4 takes d5, e6 takes d5, and for example a logical continuation b4 which was planned, I think black should play c4. I can't see anything wrong with this idea because pawn on c4 is well protected. So even if white takes on c4 twice, we have bishop e6 to complete the development and to protect the c4 pawn. So I think black has good perspectives here.
Okay, sounds good. Knight e1, knight f e7, and you and I discussed offline just for the club players. But you should not trade your bishop on g2 for the knight on c6. That would be a huge mistake here. The bishop on g2 is a very powerful piece that holds everything together, and it's a very, very good piece for white to have here. So knight e4 attacking the c5 pawn. Black plays d6 to protect it. Knight c2, preparing b4. a4, black puts a clamp on the queen side, tries to stop the b4 push, and then a fantastic move here, knight a1. Fantastic from a sense that it's just very interesting idea. It's um, not sure if it's the best move in this position, but it's a very, very interesting idea. So where's this knight going, Andrey?
I think there is a preparation of an attack against a4 pawn. So white intends to play knight c3 next move, just attacking a4, forcing the queen to occupy not very pleasant square on a5, then on a7 and b8 finally, like it happened later in the game. And also, after white will play b4 or b3 sooner or later, this knight from a1 anyway, will be activated through b3 or again through c2 and so on. So actually, basically, white's idea is just to prepare the activation of a queen d1. So white wants to play b3. It was possible immediately. However, white wants his queen on b3, not the rook. So looks interesting.
Got it. So now the a4 pawn is hanging. It needs to be defended. Black defends it with queen a5, e3. So that move kind of stops the idea of playing f4. Queen a7, so this queen was traveling quite a bit here. Now knight b5, the pawn on d6 is hanging, so queen came to b8, bishop c3, offering a trade. And this trade would be really bad for black to make, because trading the g7 bishop would really weaken the king side. So black plays e5 here to stop the trade, b4 takes, queen takes, and here bishop e6, and white plays an excellent move f4, which is both an attacking and defensive move, right?
Yeah, that's right, because it is a typical reaction here for white in such a pawn structure, because black's main active plan is to play moves like g5, h5, f4, grabbing the space on the king side, and this f4 just stops this plan. That's why maybe it was worth doing g5 instead of playing bishop e6, I think, because, okay, bishop e6 looks like a developing move, however, there is no useful work for the bishop on e6. Instead, it was really necessary for black to do something on the king side to achieve at least a bit of counterplay there, I think, because black remains very passive. So g5 looks interesting. However, even after g5, white could play and should play, I guess, f4. So even after g5, it looks like a very clever move.
Okay, so f4, queen to d8, queen b2. So now the e pawn cannot move. So Alberto overprotects protects the bishop. So he could take on f4 if needed. And now knight comes alive to b3, b6 defending that c5 pawn, and here you and I were looking when we were looking at this game, e4. I don't know if it like 100% works, but it looks interesting. And the idea is, of course, if white makes a mistake of taking on e4, you have bishop takes c4, forking the rook on f1 and knight on b5. So why not e4 here?
Because of simple bishop takes g7 first, rook takes g7.
Okay.
And now queen goes to c2, just protecting d3 pawn and c4 pawn at the same time, so e4 pawn is hanging. Black doesn't have d5 here because of c5 weakness, so c5 is hanging. So black is forced just to take on d3. And after it happens, queen takes on d3, controlling d5 square, attacking d6 pawn, and it's really hard to protect it. Once again, if black's pawn d6 moves, then pawn on c5 is hanging. So looks like white has a great advantage here.
Okay, so b6.
After b6, as we can see, c5 is protected, so e4 idea exists. But that's why maybe white played rook d1 just to prevent it.
Yes, no, it's a great move, rook fd1. So because after e4, if 4 really doesn't work here, de, bishop takes c4, knight takes d6, and white is actually winning. The rook, sorry, maybe take on g7 first.
It doesn't really matter, I think. So.
Yeah, but here the overwhelming advantage for white because of this knight takes d6 move. Bishop is hanging. When the bishop moves away, knight takes f5. Attacking the queen, attacking the rook on g7. So the idea of playing e4 was shut down here. So black played rook b8, removing the rook from the diagonal, so unpinning the knight, and a4. And you and I really like this move. This move is very subtle. The idea is that white is preparing the d4 central push, and after black takes the c4 pawn, the knight on b5 is protected, which allows white to do other things in the center of the board. And it takes someone who really understands the position to make a move like a4. Very good move. So now black, you told me earlier here that here possibly was a last chance for black to play something active, such as move g5 here and try to organize something on the king side.
Yeah, I'm not sure it works perfectly for black because white still has this d4 idea. However, it was at least active because I guess main black's problem in this game is a passive play. So black's position remains passive for a long time. It was the last chance, I think, to play g5 and to try to do at least something.
Yeah, so notice how white prepared the next move, the d4 push. He got two knights covering the d4 square, the pawn on e3, the bishop, the queen. So he really prepared this move. And now, of course, he's threatening d5, winning the piece. So black is forced to take on d4. And when this happens, the center opens up, all the diagonals open up. The d6 pawn is really weak for black. And white has more space. White has much better piece activity. And feels like white has a really big advantage here. After bishop takes d4, white is offering the trade of bishops. If black take on d4, then just queen takes d4, and the d6 pawn cannot be defended because it's attacked 3 times, so black cannot trade. They take on c4 here, and here is a fantastic tactical move. Knight takes d6. The knight cannot be taken because of bishop takes g7. The queen is attacked, and the pawn on h6 is gonna fall, and white is gonna win the game. So here pretty much yeah, this black has queen c5 check. Fortunately for him, I said white's gonna win the game, but my bad, I guess, here. So this is the only try. Queen c5 check, bishop d4, queen a5. Okay, so now should we take on b6?
Yes, of course, why not? But also, if we take on b6, this bishop appears pinned for some time. So maybe it's better just to centralize it, just like Banawa did in the game. So bishop e5, attacking the rook. And we can see the problem. So in a sense of material, position is balanced. However, if we try to compare activity of the pieces of both sides, we can see that white's pieces are much more active. So every piece is just much more active if compared to its counterpart.
So here, yeah, white has the biggest advantage. White has is the advantage of 2 bishops and the activity of pieces, of course. So white refuses trade of queens, and here starts chasing the queen a little bit. Both players were in severe time trouble here. So the time control was game in 75 was the 30-second increment. So they made a few moves trying to get some time added here, and here. I think black actually blundered. This was a decisive mistake. Bishop d6, another really strong tactical shot where both rook on e8 and queen on b4 is attacked, and there is no way to defend both. So after rook takes e1, very nice intermediate move, rook a8 check. Black is forced to go to h7. Bishop takes b4. Now the rook is hanging. Rook b1, and now very precise bishop c3, threatening rook h8 mate. Black finds an interesting resource which had a chance to work because of mutual time trouble. On 95, attacking the rook on a8. And the idea is if, let's say, white does something careless, such as playing a move like rook a4, for example, which would be a huge blunder, knight f3 check, and now black has the upper hand. Unfortunately for black, white's rook stays on the 8th rank, plays rook e8, and now knight f3 check doesn't really work, simply because white will just capture that knight, sacrifice a queen. After bishop takes f3, rook h8, mate in 1, and white wins the game. So after rook e8, bishop c4, very precisely here. White traded down into one endgame. White is up a piece. White has a passed pawn on the e file, and the rest was pretty straightforward. And black resigned here. So Andrey, how would you summarize this game? What are your thoughts? What do you think black did wrong, and did any of the white's play impressed your?
Well, I think that black was quite passive during all the game. So starting from very first opening moves like h6, then knight e7. Instead of that, it was possible to play something like d5. So it was interesting way of achieving a comfortable position in the center. Then black missed some opportunities connected with the g5, playing first instead of completing the development of the bishop on e6, because bishop on e6 doesn't really give black any use. Instead of that, it was necessary to activate on the king side. So I think main problem was this passive play. So black just allowed a lot to white, and white just managed to exploit it. As for white, well, white played knight a1. Knight a1 was quite impressive move. Then a4 was a very good move, just protecting knight b5, and of course this d4 was very, very efficient, and it was made just right in time. So only few moves later could be very late, I think, for this d4. So something like that.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we will see you in other videos.